Well, welcome back. Today we begin part 6 of Treasure Island. And part 6 begins with chapter 28, and it's called In the Enemy's Camp. When we left off with the last chapter, Jim had kind of wandered into the enemy's camp. He thought he was going back to be with his friends, and he snuck up very carefully. But when he got there, instead of it being his friends that were staying in the blockhouse in the stockade, now he's surrounded by pirates. And basically, this chapter picks up just where the other one left off. I'm doing something a little different. I've been reading on my phone, but my phone is out of battery. So I'm going to go ahead and try to read on the screen as I scroll through it. So it could be a little awkward. Also, we've had a stormy night. Hopefully, we don't have any weirdness in our connection tonight. We can get through this. Okay, so let's go ahead and read In the Enemy's Camp. The red glare of the torch lighting up the interior of the blockhouse showed me the worst of my apprehensions realized. The pirates were in possession of the house and stores. There was the cask of cognac, there were the pork and bread as before, and what tenfold increased my horror, not a sign of any prisoner. I could only judge that all had perished, and my heart smote me sorely that I had not been there to perish with them. There were 6 of the buccaneers, all told. Not another man was left alive. 5 of them were on their feet, flushed and swollen, suddenly called out of the first sleep of drunkenness. The 6th had only risen upon his elbow. He was deadly pale, and the blood-stained bandage round his head told that he had recently been wounded, and still more recently dressed. I remember the man who had been shot and had run back among the woods in the great attack, and doubted not that it was he. The parrot sat, preening her plumage on Long John's shoulder. He himself, I thought, looked somewhat paler and more stern than I was used to. He still wore the fine broadcloth suit in which he had fulfilled his mission, but it was bitterly the worse for wear, daubed with clay and torn with sharp briars of the wood. "So," said he, "here's Jim Hawkins. Shiver my timbers. Dropped in, like, eh? Well, come, I take that friendly." And thereupon he sat down across the brandy cask and began to fill a pipe. "Give me a loan of the link, Dick," said he, and then, when he had had a good light, "That'll do, lad," he added. "Stick the glim in the wood heap, and you, gentlemen, bring yourselves too. You needn't stand up for Mr. Hawkins. He'll excuse you, you may lay to that." Okay, so far, Jim sees them, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, this must mean that my friends are dead because all the stuff is still here and the pirates are also here." And he notices what they look like. There's only 6 of them. One's badly injured. Um, and now he's looking at Long John Silver, and Long John Silver doesn't look that great either. Like, he's been through a little bit too, and his new clothes don't look so new anymore. And so Silver just sits down to talk to him, and he lights his tobacco pipe and then tells everybody just to settle down. Okay, looks like he's getting ready to give a good talk. Okay. Um, and so, Jim, stopping the tobacco, "here you were, and quite a pleasant surprise for poor old John. I see you were smart when I first set my eyes on ye, but this here gets away from me clean, it do." To all this, as may well be supposed, I made no answer. They had set me with my back against the wall, and I stood there looking Silver in the face, pluckily enough, I hope, to all outward appearance, but with black despair in my heart. Silver took a whiff or two of his pipe with great composure, and then ran on again. "Now you see, Jim, so be as you are here," says he. "I'll give you a piece of my mind. I've always liked you, I have, for a lad of spirit, and the picture of my own self when I was young and handsome. I always wanted you to jine and take your share and die a gentleman. And now, my cock, you've got to. Captain Smollett's a fine seaman, as I'll own up to any day, but stiff on discipline. Duty is duty, says he. And right he is. Just you keep clear of the captain. The doctor himself has gone dead again you. Ungrateful scamp was what he said. And the short and the long of the whole story is about here. You can't go back to your own lot, for they won't have you. And without you start a 3rd ship's company all by yourself, which might be lonely, you'll have to jine with Captain Silver." So far, so good. My friends then were still alive, And though I partly believed the truth of Silver's statement that the cabin party were incensed at me for my desertion, I was more relieved than distressed by what I heard. I don't say nothing as to you being in our hands, continued Silver, though there you are, and you may lay to it. I'm all for argument. I never seen good come out of threatening. If you like the service, well, you'll join, and if you don't, Jim, why, you're free to answer no. Free and welcome, shipmate, and if fair can be said by mortal seamen, shiver my sides. So Long John's saying, we want you to join up with us, and you can say no. What do you think will happen if he does say no? Here's what he says. Am I to answer then? I asked with a very tremulous voice. Tremulous means like shaky. Through all this sneering talk, I was made to feel the threat of death that overhung me, and my cheeks burned and my heart beat painfully in my breast. Lad, said Silver, no one's oppressing of you. Take your bearings. None of us won't hurry you, mate. Time goes so pleasant in your company, you see. Well, says I, growing a bit bolder, if I'm to choose, I declare I have a right to know what's what, and why you're here, and where my friends are. What's what? Repeated one of the buccaneers in a deep growl. Ah, he'd be a lucky one as knowed that. You'll perhaps batten down your hatches till you're spoke to, my friend, cried Silver truculently to the speaker, and then, in his first gracious tones, he replied to me. Yesterday morning, Mr. Hawkins, said he, in the dog watch, down came Dr. Livesey with a flag of truce. Says he, Captain Silver, you're sold out, ship's gone. Well, maybe we'd been taking a glass and a song to help it round. I won't say no. Leastways, none of us had looked out. We looked out, and by thunder, the old ship was gone. I never seen a pack of fools look fishier, and you may lay to that. If I tells you that look the fishiest, well, says the doctor, let's bargain. We bargained, him and I, and here we are. Stores, brandy, blockhouse, the firewood you was thoughtful enough to cut, and in a manner of speaking, the whole blessed boat from cross trees to Kelson. As for them, they've tramped. I don't know where's they are. He drew again quietly at his pipe. And lest you should take it into that head of yours, he went on, that you was included in the treaty, here's the last word that was said. How many are you, says I, to leave? 4, says he. 4 and one of us wounded. As for that boy, I don't know where he is, confound him, says he, nor I don't much care. We're about sick of him. These was his words. Is that all? I asked. Well, it's all that you're to hear, my son, returned Silver. And now I am to choose. And now you are to choose, and you may lay to that, said Silver. Okay, so here's the information that Jim has received so far. And this is, okay, can he trust Silver? First of all, you don't know. When you hear somebody else talking, do you know they're telling the truth? You really don't. So he knows from what Silver says that the doctor went to him and said, hey, you've been sold out. Your boat's gone. And it was gone. And the doctor said, okay, here you go. You can have the stockade, and you can have the blockhouse. You can have all of our stores, and we're leaving it for you. You can have it. Even the firewood we cut, you can have it. And then they left. The 4 of them left. All right, let's remember who the 4 are. The 4 are Squire Trelawney, the man who bought the boat, the captain who is injured, the doctor, and Abraham Gray, who had been going to be a pirate, but joined up with those guys instead. That's all. Okay? Because that's all that's left. And Long John Silver is saying that they got up and left, and the pirates moved in. Okay. And now Jim needs to choose. Silver told him that his friends didn't want him anymore, didn't care about him anymore. And so he could choose to go in with them and be part of their party, and they'll accept him. If he says no, what do you think will happen? And what do you think Jim thinks will happen? So here's what Jim says. Well, said I am not such a fool, but I know pretty well what I have to look for. Let the worst come to worst. It's little I care. I've seen too many die since I fell in with you. But there's a thing or two I have to tell you, I said. And by this time I was quite excited. And the first is this. Here you are, in a bad way. Ship lost, treasure lost, men lost, your whole business gone to wreck. And if you want to know who did it, it was I. I was in the apple barrel the night we sighted land, and I heard you, John, and you, Dick Johnson, and Hans, who is now at the bottom of the sea, and told every word you said before the hour is out. And as for the schooner, it was I who cut her cable, and it was I that killed the man you had aboard of her, and it was I who brought her where you'll never see her more, not one of you. The laugh's on my side. I've had the top of this business from the first. I no more fear you than I fear a fly. Kill me if you please, or spare me. But one thing I'll say, no and no more. If you spare me, bygones are bygones. And when you fellows are in court for piracy, I'll save you all I can. It is for you to choose. Kill another and do yourselves no good, or spare me and keep a witness to save you from the gallows. Remember, Jim's a boy, but he found something inside himself to go and talk to them, say whatever. He's like, you know what? Things are rough for you right now, and I'm the whole reason. I overheard you and I told on you. And then I cut the boat loose, and then I killed the guys on it, which isn't entirely true. He only killed one of them, and it wasn't like he wanted to. But he's like, I did it. I tell you what, you can go ahead and kill me, fine. But if you don't, when you're on trial for piracy, I might try to help you out. I stopped, for I tell you, I was out of breath, and to my wonder, not a man of them moved, but all sat staring at me like as many sheep. And while they were still staring, I broke out again. And now, Mr. Silver, I said, I believe you're the best man here. And if things go to the worst, I'll take it kind of you to let the doctor know the way I took it. Which means you'll tell the doctor how I died. I'll bear it in mind, said Silver, with an accent so curious that I could not for the life of me decide whether he were laughing at my request or had been favorably affected by my courage. I'll put one to that, cried the old mahogany-faced seaman Morgan by name, whom I had seen in Long John's public house upon the quays of Bristol. It was him that knowed Black Dog. Well, and see here, added the sea cook, I'll put another again to that, by thunder, for it was the same boy that faked the chart from Billy Bones. First and last, we've split upon Jim Hawkins. Okay, so Morgan says he's the one who pointed out Black Dog, and John Silver's like, he's the one who took the map in the first place. This guy's had us from the start. Then here goes, said Morgan with an oath, and he sprang up, drawing his knife as if he had been 20. Avast there, cried Silver. Who are you, Tom Morgan? Maybe you thought you was cap'n here. Perhaps, but by the powers, but I'll teach you better. Cross me and you'll go where many a good man's gone before you, first and last, these 30-year back. Some to the yard arm, shiver my timbers, and some by the board, and all to feed the fishes. There's never a man looked me between the eyes and seen a good day afterwards. Tom Morgan, you may lay to that. Morgan paused, but a hoarse murmur rose from the others. Tom's right, said one. I stood hazing long enough from one, added another. I'll be hanged if I'll be hazed by you, John Silver. Did any of you gentlemen want to have it out with me? Roared Silver, bending far forward from his position on the keg with his pipe still glowing in his right hand. Put an aim on what you're at. You ain't dumb, I reckon. Him that wants shall get it. Have I lived this many years and a son of a rum-puncheon cock his hat athwart my hawse at the latter end of it? You know the way you're all gentlemen of fortune by your account. Well, I'm ready. Take a cutlass, him that dares, and I'll see the color of his insides. Crutch and all before the pipe's empty. Now, this is really hard language. So what you need to get, because, I mean, there's some of it, like when he says, son of a rum puncheon, athwart my hawse at the latter end of it, that's stuff that we don't use that language. It's pirate lingo. He's basically saying, oh yeah, who do you think you are? You think that you can say these things to me? Well, nobody gets to say these things to me. I will see your insides. It doesn't matter if I'm on a crutch right now. I might be three-legged, but before I finish smoking this pipe, you'll be dead if you keep this up. So they want to kill Jim. The other pirates want to kill Jim. And Silver's saying, no, no, you don't get to do that. All right, let's see. Not a man stirred. Not a man answered. That's your sort, is it? He added, returning his pipe to his mouth. Well, you're a gay lot to look at anyway. Not much worth to fight, you ain't. Perhaps you can understand King George's English. I'm captain here by election. I'm captain here because I'm the best man by a long sea mile. You won't fight, as gentlemen of fortune should. Then by thunder, you'll obey. And you may lay to it. I like that boy. Now, I've never seen a better boy than that. He's more a man than any pair of rats of you in this here house. And what I say is this. Let me see him that'll lay a hand on him. That's what I say, and you may lay to it. So John is like, you're not going to touch him. I like him. There was a long pause after this. I stood straight up against the wall, my heart still going like a sledgehammer, but with a ray of hope now shining in my bosom. Silver leant back against the wall, his arms crossed, his pipe in the corner of his mouth, as calm as though he had been in church. Yet his eye kept wandering furtively, and he kept the tail of it on his unruly followers. They, on their part, drew gradually together towards the far end of the blockhouse, and the low hiss of their whispering sounded in my ear continuously like a stream. One after another they would look up, and the red light of the torch would fall for a second on their nervous faces. But it was not towards me. It was towards Silver that they turned their eyes. You seem to have a lot to say, remarked Silver, spitting fair into the air. Pipe up and let me hear her lay to. Ax your pardon, sir, returned one of the men. You're pretty free with some of the rules. Maybe you'll kindly keep an eye upon the rest. This crew's dissatisfied. This crew don't vally bullying a marlinspike. This crew has its rights like other crews. I'll make so free as that. And by your own rules, I take it we can talk together. I ask your pardon, sir, acknowledging you for being captain at this present. But I claim my right and steps outside council. Okay. So he asked him, well, you got something to say? You better say it. And they're like, there's rules. We get to have a talk. And pirates did have rules. They had very strict rules about how things were managed on a boat. And captains were elected. Okay, so Longchamp Silver has been elected the captain, but they're all going to go outside for a council, and they're talking about him. And with an elaborate sea salute, this fellow, a long, ill-looking, yellow-eyed man of 35, stepped coolly towards the door and disappeared out of the house. One after another, the rest followed his example, each making a salute as he passed, each adding some apology. According to the rules, said one. Forecastle Council, said Morgan. And so with one remark or another, all marched out and left Silver and me alone with the torch. The sea cook instantly removed his pipe. Now look, you hear, Jim Hawkins, he said in a steady whisper. It was no more than audible. You're within half a plank of death. And what's a long sight worse, torture. They're going to throw me off. But you mark, I stand by you thick and thin. I didn't mean to. No, not till you spoke up. I was about desperate to lose that much blunt and be hanged into the bargain. But I see you was the right sort. I says to myself, you stand by Hawkins, John, and Hawkins will stand by you. You're his last card, and by the living thunder, John, he's yours. Back to back, says I. You save your witness, and he'll save your neck. I began dimly to understand. You mean all's lost? I asked. Aye, by gum I do, he answered. Ship gone, neck gone. That's the size of it. Once I looked into that bay, Jim Hawkins, and seen no schooner. Well, I'm tough, but I gave out. As for that lot and their council, mark me. They're right, fools and cowards. I'll save your life, as so be as I can, from them. But see here, Jim, tit for tat, you save Long John from swinging. By swinging, he means being hung. Hanging was the penalty for piracy. And so he's saying that they're going to have to protect each other from being killed. He and Jim. I was bewildered. It seemed a thing so hopeless he was asking. He, the old buccaneer, the ringleader throughout. What I can do, that I'll do, I said. It's a bargain, cried Long John. You speak up, Plucky, and by thunder, I have a chance. He hobbled to the torch where it stood propped among the firewood and took a fresh light to his pipe. Understand me, Jim, he said, returning. I have a head on my shoulders, I have. I'm on Squire's side now. I know you've got that ship safe somewheres. How you done it, I don't know, but safe it is. I guess Hans and O'Brien turned soft. I never much believed in neither of them. Now you mark me. I ask no questions, nor won't let others. I know when a game's up, I do. And I know a lad that's staunch. Ah, you that's young. You and me might have done a power of good together. He drew some cognac from the cask into a tin cannikin. Will you taste, messmate? He asked, and when I had refused, well, I'll take a dram myself, Jim, said he. I need a culker, for there's trouble on hand. And talking of trouble, why did that doctor give me the chart, Jim? Remember, charts or maps? Why did the doctor give him the map? My face expressed a wonder so unaffected that he saw the needlessness of further questions. Ah, well, he did, though, said he. And there's something under that, no doubt. Something surely under that, Jim, bad or good. And he took another swallow of the brandy, shaking his great fair head like a man who looks forward to the worst. Okay. That's a tricky chapter, I gotta say. It's not easy because anytime there's a bunch of dialogue between the pirates, particularly, and other people, there are so many words that are unfamiliar. Just getting the gist of what's going on is going to help you. You don't have to understand every bit of the slang. Just like when you're watching other movies where people are using slang that you don't understand, you get the idea by their emotions and some of the words they say, what they're trying to get across. So here you've got Jim stumbling into the enemy's camp, and they have got him basically literally really up against the wall. And all but Silver want to just kill him because he admits, he says, I'm the biggest problem you have. I've done all the things that have gotten you into trouble, and I even got rid of the boat and killed Israel Hands, blah, blah, blah. So the other guys want to kill him. But Silver's like, dang, Jim, you are one tough little guy. And Silver also tells him, it's pretty much over. Ship's gone. Yeah, I'm on the Squire's side now. And by the way, do you know why he gave me the map? Why would he do that? Why would he give me the map? And by the map, of course, what we mean is we mean the treasure map that they all are supposed to follow to get to Captain Flint's gold. Why would Dr. Livesey give away the stockade, the blockhouse, all the pork, and the drinks and the other food and the firewood? Why would he give all of that and the treasure map to Long John Silver and the pirates? Jim doesn't know. All right, so there ends the chapter. And it ends with suddenly Jim is paired up with Long John Silver, and the other pirates are having a talk outside without them. Okay. And that means I'll see you again at the next chapter.